Good evening. Oh, wait, here, let me do that. You gotta see that face. You gotta see that face. Classic monster movie now. Godzilla, the king of the monsters. Oh, wow, folks. We got to see it tonight for the third time. This time in black and white, but you could never get enough Godzilla, especially when you are actually happy for the monster movies and the humans are not. You're wanting them to be the appetizer for the night. But hey, welcome to a special stream tonight, a special chilling with at a very special time. Normally on Saturday nights we're not streaming live like this or chill streams, but you know what? We got a great guest tonight. That's in store for a big treat. Somebody that I've seen around the internet or from YouTube the last couple of years, bouncing in and out around different times, and this guy's got a great channel, got his own stuff, and is popular in so many places himself. And we even got to grace him and his family New Year's Eve. We'll talk about that a little bit. But hey, without further ado, let me go ahead and bring in our great guest for tonight. Is Gray from Wakizashi's Teahouse. Hello, Gray.
Hey, good evening. Great to be here, Dad Man, and thanks for setting up this live stream.
Absolutely no problem. I love these chilling streams. They're a lot of my favorites to get to talk to people, specifically other content creators and stuff, to see, learn a little bit more about them and find out what makes them tick, and see if there's areas of common interest. That's like I referred to. I'd seen you around in numbers of chats for probably at least 2 years, and you may not remember because Mrs. always like, how do you remember this, that, and the other? But I got ways of remembering things and stuff. But you see so many people in different places and doing different things, and some interactions in the chat. So it was an opportunity to come on, especially with our first mutual stream about 26 days ago. Like I said, or the New Year's stream I did. And thank you for coming on with you and your family to ring in the New Year in Japan. That was pretty cool.
That was a lot of fun. It was it was me in the living dining room, and the family were in the tatami room next door. We were like counting down the Japanese New Year, weren't we? That was really good time.
Absolutely, it was an added surprise and bonus to the stream that night. Completely unexpected, but that's what's so great with the YouTube and the StreamYards and all this, being able to connect to people, and celebrate wonderful occasions like that.
I can't believe you did it. You were doing was it a full 24-hour stream,
I
like following the new year around the world?
I collapsed after the west coast of the U.S. I could not
Okay,
make it. I could
not
not make it.
surprised.
I could not make it past Alaska into the last few four. There were 4 or 5 more time zones, though, believe it or not. It was actually
Wow.
more than 24 hours. It became like 20. It would have been 28 hours or so. It was
No,
just
it's
like,
still really impressive, and it was a good way to kind of get to meet you, virtually meet you, for the first proper time. But like you were saying, I've seen your name, I've seen you in chats, seen you here and there, and it's like, okay, this is cool. YouTube bringing people together.
absolutely. And it's like my wife with her channel is about her morning show with positivity. And that's what we need a lot of out here and around it. And I know you do a lot of good positive stuff with your materials and content. So let's go ahead and say hi to the chat. And then we're going to talk about a few things real quick, Gray. JT Kirk came in first, but he can't make it. He's got family visiting, but he did come in to drop a like and wish us for a kick-ass show. Thank you, JT. I'll talk to him later. And it's our guest, Wakizashi's Tea House. Hey, Masters Maniac Mexico, our good friend down in Mexico. Uh, my friend Masters, how are you tonight? I hope you are feeling better tonight. Everybody send Masters your thoughts, prayers, positive vibes. Right now he's recovering and trying to make his way back to Germany. So, send him good vibes his way. We would appreciate it personally if you could do that. And of course, the Mrs. is here. Hello, Mrs., who just saw the movie again with me for the third time tonight. And Mrs. Prelight, because she knows it's already going to be a great show. So while you're nervous, great. And Six is here. Hello, Six. How are you doing tonight? Good to see you too. Hopefully, you survived all the snow shoveling a couple weeks ago. So, all right. And Gray, question.
Yeah.
Hope you're all gang. What does this mean?
Genki is it's basically the Japanese for being well, being fine. How are you? Are you
Ah,
Genki? Are you well? That's it. And I always use it in my channel, my video introductions.
oh, awesome. Well, thank you, thank you. We're aimed to learn. The only thing I'm not allowed to do is try to pronounce foreign languages. People banned me. Masters refused to let me speak German anymore. Bucky's crafting, who's not here yet, like threatened me because she was laughing so hard at my French that it was like, please stop and forget the British accent. It's not even close. So,
I'd love to hear your British accent at some
uh,
point.
Yemi, good to see you, my friend. Yemi, good to see you. So, and Six said that the snow has been melting all week. You love it. Good day, old chap. May I have a spot of tea?
All right, Mary Poppins. How's it going?
I know my wife is probably cringing out. I'll see right there.
She's having a go in the chat. Yeah, please, no British accent.
right off the bat. But hey, got supporters like that. You gotta love that. So, well, we got 9 people here. Wonderful. We actually picked up another sub before the show. So on the YouTube side, make sure you hit that like button, sub to us. Make sure you're still subbed because weird things happen. We're also over on the Twitch side. If you're on Twitch, follow B number 120. And Emily Gungadine, good to see you again tonight. Emily's here, and that avatar is her beautiful dog, Sammy. So, and we Emily says she hopes everyone is doing well, and it's Genki, right? Hope,
That's right.
all
Sorry, that's
right.
my also. Yeah, Genki.
Yeah,
Are you Genki? I think so.
All right, there you go. All right, so, and Masters, yeah, same deal, same fever. We'll pick you up. Yeah, all right, exactly. Mr. Wakizashi is a real interesting guest. Hop on more and wear it's live. He's a great guy. All right, exactly.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind, and I hope you are. I hope you say, as you were saying, Dadman. I hope Masters Maniac Mexico gets well soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good friend, great supporter to the missus and to me here. So really appreciate all that he does with us. He's given us a lot of technical advice, a lot of help, and stuff like that. So he's really, really. I got. Oh no! And Emily had an unfortunate accident that happened with Sammy and the dog. Oh no! Hopefully everybody's okay though. Oh gosh, Buddy Hepburn, good to see you. Howdy, Royal Rumble is starting. Get ready to rumble. All right, so but great. Let's start off with you about
Yeah.
you and your channel. The first thing is what I want is Wakizashi's Teahouse. What is is there significance with that name and further your avatar?
I don't know. I had some crazy idea that it was a kind of a joke name, and I never thought, Dadman, about putting an apostrophe in a channel name is a stupid idea. So that's a warning to anybody who's thinking about starting YouTube. Don't put apostrophes. Anyway,
Oh,
the wakizashi. Did we talk about this before? It's the short blade from the two Japanese swords. The katana and the wakizashi.
uh-huh.
The idea of the tea house is that you couldn't take your blade into the tea house in Japan, and this is like old Japan. Everybody had to leave it outside, even the shogun, even the lords. So that's the idea of if there's a wakizashi in the tea house, maybe something's going to happen.
Ooh, okay, interesting.
It's
So,
pretty crazy.
so the wakizashi is the short blade, right? Is that what
It
you
is,
said?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I know there's the short blade. There's also the long blade being the katana. Okay. Well, that is interesting. I've always wondered about the name and specifically with your avatar, though. Really, really cool. Uh, did anything in specific spur that name, or was it just so,
Um, Not specific, really. We talked about this off screen, but I've always had a interest in Japan since I was young. Not so much the more recent Japanese history, but like ancient. What do you call it? The feudal period,
mhm.
Edo Japan, the Edo period. So yeah, I just used to read about samurai stories and got into Japanese art, and I love the samurai with the two swords. I thought that was such a cool image.
Yeah, definitely was. Now, what your channel is? You do more. We talked about before. You really don't. You're not doing a lot of live streams right now, but you're doing video shorts, videos and shorts. What are not necessarily shorts, but like videos and reviews. What type of reviews? What type of videos and reviews do you really like? What's your big areas of interest?
I started it as basically an American comic book review channel, just to share my love of American comic books. But I know that, there's so many channels already doing that, and it's not the biggest, doesn't have the highest interest at the moment, unfortunately. But yeah, that's my first love, really. And then a little bit of life in Japan. I do, just not really shorts. I don't know about you, but I've never really got into shorts. Maybe because I'm old. I don't really do them, and they don't get much traction anyway.
We did a few when we were when we did our Across America tour.
Yeah.
Through the mountains, through the Rockies, through Yellowstone. I was doing more shorts then. I've actually forgotten how to do them. I need to get back to figure out how to do them. I think sometimes it depends on what the short is, because I got one with prairie dogs that had several hundred, and then
oh wow,
yeah, and then I had another one that hit over 1,000. It was like kind of surprising, but one of the most surprising was the missus. Actually, we were in Arkansas,
yeah,
and all she did was like show the video, play it. Farms, just silence, breathe again, Arkansas, and that was it. And I think got like 1,000 views or 500. It's some ridiculous number for a minute of just mostly silence. So it really depends on how it goes. It depends what I think it hits the people's interest. So, but you can't go wrong with small animals, though. That's for sure.
This is true.
Or larger animals. We actually had one too with a bison that walked through the parking lot at our hotel right by Old Faithful, and that thing got a ton of views with it just walking up there among the cars and everything, which is funny because that led us to a story. Because the night before we checked in, and I wanted to go adventuresome walk down in the dark down the area to look at some more springs, even though it was getting dark, and the missus like, no, we're not doing it. There's wildlife out there. I told her there's no wildlife out there. She's like, so she won the argument, so we didn't. And so the next day, this bison's walking through the parking lot down that path up to our hotel. So she's like, who's right?
I don't know. Sorry, I've got some background noise, so I'm just staying muted at the moment.
Oh, you're good. It's not coming through even when you're not muted, so that's okay. So that was one of our funny run-ins with the missus being right once again. So I always have to defer to her on those things. Let's see. And then what Master says, he feels you, Wakizashi. These days, no one really seems to care about poor old King Skeletor, but you got to run with who you are. Oh, and of course, American wrestling. Vince now had to resign. Yes, I saw that recently. Very soon. So, but hey, we got 10 people with us tonight. I appreciate y'all being here, and got Gray here with us tonight. Gray, beyond the streaming on your channel and all, what type of personal interests do you have? That are not necessarily part of your channel.
Let's think. Wow. Of course, I love movies and TV. I do a little bit of reviews of those, but not so much. I mean, it's like there's so many channels doing that already. It's hard to know. I don't know what else. Just going for walks, getting out to nature, that kind of thing. As I get older, I'm appreciating nature a lot more.
That's cool. When Squeaker's coming in saying hi, Dad Man and Gray in chat. Hey, Squeaker. Yeah, I guess she's taking a break from training slides to hear you can't go wrong with small animals. LOL. Small animals are pesky. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're tenacious, but hey, that's why we all like the small animals too. But I learned about that the other day. The rodents. I mean, we did a squirrel stream last Sunday because of my late night shows, or we consider our squirrel streams, bouncing from topic to topic. And one night we covered 20 topics in a stream. Wow. And it was so. Last Sunday was National Squirrel Appreciation Day, so we actually did a stream focused on the squirrels, and learned the groundhogs are related in the same family. Even the chipmunks are, so all kinds of different small animals. So
Alvin,
I know that. Well, Chip and Dale. When I look for images, brought up Chip and Dale, and I'm like, that's not a squirrel. But then, okay, they're in the same family.
Dad, man, can I ask you a question? I'm
Yes, sir.
curious.
Yes,
I
please.
probably asked you already at the New Year's live stream, but as you know, I
Let's
was
go.
pretty tipsy. I've forgotten. What got your channel name? Where did that come
Uh,
from? Dadman Walking
all right.
55.
Well, we will do. I will definitely say that. So, uh, but well, this is quite interesting. I'm very boring. I'm pretty much. I want everything the
Me
same,
too.
so I don't have to remember. This goes back to 2020, and everybody knows what happened in 2020, right? I've always been, my wife has always told me get hobbies. You need hobbies. Well, I didn't. So when the sports world shut down just before in America, it's college basketball in March. So when everything shuts down, I had nothing. No sports, there were no movies, nothing. So I was going to bed like at 9 o'clock. I was really grumpy. So my youngest kid, Ang, said, Dad, I want you to play Fortnite with us. And my friends actually invited me to play with their friends too.
Oh, wow.
So I said, well, I always driven my kids nuts with this, with the, I'm from the old generation of a joystick and a button.
Me too. I remember those.
I kept telling them, and they'd get so sick of it and all, because I'd spam them, which is hitting the same buttons again and again, playing like Smash Brothers on the Wii and all, and they get so mad. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just lucky to hit buttons. Well, Ang was like, Dad, I'm just concerned for you and whatever. So I said, okay, fine, I'll play with you. I don't know all these buttons, so call me Dead Man Walking. You know how everybody wants to call it Dead Man Walking, because that's a very common thing and from a movie. Well, I went look. We are going to play, and Ang's like, I was like, this is not Dead Man Walking. This is Dad Man Walking. And Ang's like, I couldn't do it, Dad. So Ang dropped the E out of it and made it Dad Man Walking.
Nice.
So then I'm like, what's the 55? Just because. So because there are Dad Man Walkings out there on Twitter and YouTube and other places. So I mean, the kid picked 55 for no reason, and I was fortunate to be able to use that name both in Fortnite, on YouTube, on Twitch, and Twitter. So that's why I like
Nice
the
one.
nice boring and stuff. So
No, it's not boring, and it's nice and easy to say, unlike mine, which gets a lot of people like they look at it and they just call me a Teahouse. How you doing, Teahouse?
yeah, exactly. Oh gosh, the missus is right. Yeah, the entire family crazy. So, oh, so, but yeah, exactly. But so that's how the name came to Dad Man Walking 55. Now, my initial around YouTube avatar was this thing here. You know,
Ooh,
was this?
it's kind of scary.
Yeah, this is the Tiki doll from Trilogy of Terror. One of the three is an ABC network made for television movie back in 1975. Somehow I crossed it, watched it, and it stuck in my mind and got my uh, brain for many years and had nightmares about this thing. And then a streamer mentioned it. Yeah, I was over. It was
I'm
Lorraine
not
O'Friel.
surprised. That would give me nightmares too when I was
It
a
would.
kid.
I really had nightmares where I physically remembered as a teenager fighting something off like this, and it
Wow.
did. So Lorena had talked about the Trilogy of Terror, and I'm like, that sounds familiar. And when I looked up, this sucker. So I switched on my avatar on YouTube to this for a while, from Homer Simpson to this. So that's where that came in for the longest time, and a lot of people still recognize that. But when I decided to start streaming, Aang made me two avatars. This one with the stripes, and
Cool.
this one that I do here. So, it really, the long story short there is that a lot of it comes down to my kid Aang is responsible for, the name and the avatars that I use to now.
Is that original character he designed as well?
Yes, Aang made this himself. It's based off Peely from Fortnite and a football. Two things that
Okay.
I started with my channel with, which was really my first. What drove me to start was it was almost football season, and August. I was like August 19th, 2022 was the first stream. Of course, had Aang, had a Mrs. Squeaka was there, and we've grown since then. But it was just, yeah. I think I may have actually started with the other avatar, and Aang brought this up, and it was just a combination. It was football talk to begin with, and then I started adding Fortnite, and those were the two things I did, and gradually I've added more shows like this over the time. So that's how this avatar has come to be, and the name came in originated. And I like I said, as Mrs. said, it's easy to read and it is phonetic. So and I like I said, I don't have to remember different names. The Mrs. has to remember them at some of the other places. So because hers had to change. And Stunning, good to see you tonight. Stunning, how are you? Oi. So, all right. Now, so how long have you actually been streaming, Gray?
Let me think. The YouTube channel's been going just over. It'll be, let's see, 3 years in June, so 2.5 years. I may be streaming for about 2 years of that, but I still don't know what I'm doing. Dad, man, I don't know about you. Still kind of making it up as I go along when I do streams.
Well, that's what I do half the time too. Like I said, my late night streams, we go squirrel chasing and things like that. It's like we just wing it. We use the force sometimes.
Use the force is a good idea. You do a lot of streams, is that right? You do kind of focus on doing live streams?
Yeah, I'm more of a live streamer because I just like the spontaneity. I like talking to people. I like talking to new people. I like, honestly, like talking to people with different interests or from different parts of the world because I like learning new things. You know, it's just, it's kind of funny being an accountant. You wouldn't think I'd talk that much, but yeah, I do like talking. And the more that new things that I get, I just look at it as a learning experience. I've learned so much in the last 2 years with so many different guests and different backgrounds. And it's really things. I learn things culturally, learn, all kinds of number of things. And that, I like to find out what makes people tick. And we have people all from around the world, from South Africa to Australia, you're in Japan. I mean, that's what kind of gave me the idea for doing that the New Year's stream is, all these people around the world, why not recognize them and where they are? Because sometimes I think over here in the States, we sometimes just focus stateside or like everything's here, but there's a whole new world out there, to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, I'm from the UK originally, and we were kind of like that as well. A little bit isolationist on our own little island. So yeah, it's great moving over to Japan, meeting all these people via YouTube, via StreamYard has been it's been a blessing. It really has.
Oh gosh, Masters in here. I just saw this comment. The 55 stands for 55 minutes later. Whenever Batman tries to multitask, I'm getting better about the multitasking. I just can't type and talk. Yeah, and we're working on the PO box. So, Matt, they were studying was working on some Teen Titans stuff today. So, all right,
cool.
Well, one of the things too, I know, especially like my wife always likes the thought about the cherry blossoms and stuff, and I know Japan's big for that. What time of year do they come out, and what is it like? I mean, how beautiful are those cherry blossoms?
It's a real big deal, as you can imagine. Over here, they cover it on the mainstream media, the news. They follow the cherry blossom front, they call it, as it moves, up the country from the south up to the north. Yeah, it's beautiful. They're very, what's the word? Very, very pale version of pink. Really, really nice color.
Yeah, I know the missus wants to see it. There's a couple spots here in the States that have them. We actually found some of that up in Georgia, but also Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, has them. Is there a certain time of year that they bloom?
They start around about the end of March, up to the middle of April, usually.
Well, that's okay.
What's interesting, Dadman, as well, is they coincide that with the school, the academic year. So you've got the opening ceremony at school in beginning of April, the first week of April, to hopefully have the cherry blossoms in the background, for the photos.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Now, geography of Japan. I know that there is high, like everything. There are high points, like Mount Fuji. What is the elevation like in Japan? Is it mostly mountainous? Is it like parts at sea level? I mean, just it's a wide range of geography, isn't it?
As far as I know, yeah, I'm not that clued up on the geography, but it's full of mountain ranges. I think down the middle of the country as well. And that's why it's actually bigger than people realise, Japan. But because of the mountainous areas, the actual living space is a little bit, what's the word, condensed. So you
Hmm.
got these huge, massive sprawling cities where people live. But there is quite a lot of sea level. I live in a sea level area, so if we get a big tsunami, it's bye bye grey.
Oh, yeah. I sadly, I remember that one from a few years ago that happened.
Yeah, that was
With the
crazy. I've never
tsunami
seen
over
anything
there.
like that.
Yeah, the
Frightening.
video is very scary, very frightening, and you got to take those things seriously when they happen. Now, I do know that there was that one with the nuclear plant years ago. The you're not anywhere near that though, are you?
Fortunately, no. It's very far away. That's up on the what is it? The higher northern eastern coast. So yeah,
Right.
but that was a crazy, wasn't it? Crazy experience. Was it 2011? So we're talking 13 years ago. It'll be this year.
Wow, it's amazing how time flies,
Yeah.
these days. So, and Emily also says cherry blossoms, and the missus wants to see them bad so bad. And hello to Leah Rose, welcome.
Hey,
Good to see
Leia,
you
how you
tonight.
doing?
Hey, all right. Seeing some new names tonight. Hey, welcome in. We got Gray from Wakizashi's Teahouse with us tonight. So, talking a little bit about him, he's asked a little bit about me. So, if y'all got questions for either Gray or for myself, if you're new to the channel, feel free. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and we're just going to sit back and chill for a little bit more. And really, kind of one of the things I wanted to talk to Graham a little bit tonight. We talked about is this little guy behind us. The guy peeking over my head right here with those beady little eyeballs up there.
Oh my God, Godzilla!
Gojira. Yeah, you've seen the movie twice, correct? Once in color, once in black and white.
That's right. Yeah. How about you?
We saw it the third time. I literally got home and got on with you if just shortly before that. It has been a crazy busy day today. Got home. This will be the third time. This was the third time we saw it. We saw it twice in color, this time in black and white. Dude, we loved the movie the first time we saw it. We loved it the second time, but I did not think that it could top it. But the black and white really made a difference to us, we thought. What did you think about actually getting to see it in a black and white format?
Yeah, same as you. I loved it from the start. The first version I saw just like blew me away. So much more than I was expecting. Not just a monster movie, but the black and white version. It looks gorgeous. It looks glorious, and I've had some interesting comments on my review. People saying that because the color was toned down, they noticed more details, things
Mm-hmm.
like that, or they could focus more on the soundtrack, the sound edit, things, and people's stories. But yeah, I think it looks amazing. It's great to have the two, isn't it? Have the two choices, and it'll be interesting to
Mm-hmm.
compare them, to watch them maybe back to back in the future when they come out on Blu-ray.
You know, one of the things that I noticed the most tonight were Godzilla's eyeballs. I
That
don't know what.
scary stare, yeah, that Godzilla
Yeah,
stare.
that one scene when he's chasing the boat like he is, right on the tail of the boat. They're trying to drop the mines to get him off of them, and just, did that those eyes. It was bad enough in color, okay, but the white, just in this black and white format, like you said, it seemed like there were details that got picked up much clearer than they were in the color version. For me, it was the eyeballs. It would made him a lot more terrifying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what got me was, the very early, the opening scene where you've got the pre-mutated Godzilla attacking on that island, that small
Hmm.
island. That looked incredible. That was even scarier in black and white than it was in color, and it was scary in color because it was set at night. What a scene!
Oh well, because and I think with the way they did the black and white, it did look like the old movies. It really not intending to throw back to the olds, but it it actually made it better because seeing that detail in the dark, like Master's saying, it was sharper in black and white.
Sharper, yeah, yeah, I can see that.
Exactly, and so the missus said his appearance was more intense, and he could see the emotions expressed by the actors better. So, because this is something the missus did, tonight she was emotional in the color version, but I cried during the black and white version tonight.
Wow, very, very emotionally moving movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and she did. I remember how she liked the first two, but then tonight I could see her reaction next to me that was really emotional. She actually cried. She's you know I you know I it's interesting to see that the difference in formats make a difference. We're talking about the sharpness and details like that, but when the change in style can actually affect how you view an audience. I mean, a view a movie is really incredible.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That it can have a different kind of emotional effect on you or more
Hmm.
impact.
Well, like I said to you earlier, overall, I mean, what are your overall thoughts on the movie, whether it was color and black and white? Like I shared with you, and I'll share this with everybody else that hadn't heard it. The Miss and I were happy that we finally had a monster movie where we weren't always cheering against the human beings, because so
Oh,
many at the last 10 years of Godzilla, Kong, and all movies were like, please eat the humans, eat the humans.
I agree. Yeah, I think some of the Western versions they've kind of lost what made the Godzilla movie so impactful to begin with. It was of course the Godzilla, the monster side of it is important, but it's the human story. You need characters to get invested in, to care about, and whether it was the writing or the performances, the actors, I don't know, but everything just worked in this version. You know, you got so pulled into their story, didn't you? And then on top of that, you've got Godzilla, in the background attacking every now and then. Just yeah, it just really, really hit me. It was such an impactful movie. Dad, man, I don't know about you. Haven't been moved by a theatre experience like that in a long, long time. I can't remember.
And like the minister said, the appearance was more intense. Like you said, that one scene on the island in the dark, it's like you could see it better
Yeah, yeah, it was
because that
weird.
black and white, that white gave the contrast to where you could actually see the monster moving and doing stuff. You could see him stomping. You could see him tearing up the fighters, destroying stuff. Whereas in the dark, in the color version, you still, I mean, you see shadows, and but the contrast with the black and white, actually, you got to see a lot more of the detail, and it was really, really interesting. And you could see him moving. He looked terrifying. He looked like he used to, and you can see the detail. And I think this is also a credit that Mrs. cried even though she knew what was going to happen. So
Yeah, no, great comments, great comments. Just to
no.
shout out to the original version, the color, I do still really rate that, and I liked it because it was kind of muted, slightly muted
Hmm.
colors. The post World War II setting. I don't know about
Hmm.
you, I really appreciate that. Seeing post World War II Japan, like recovering, rebuilding, that was
Hmm.
fascinating to me.
See, and I agree. I agree because, like I told you before, that I'm a World War II history guy, and the way that started off with that whole background with the fighter, it was a kamikaze pilot. He
Yeah,
landed on the island like that. That whole thing set a background for me, knowing what that type of pilot involved, what that was. You actually see. It was interesting to see how the soldiers also they knew he really disobeyed a lot because they couldn't see anything wrong with the plane and this, that, and the other, but they weren't going to question him. It was like he's just one of them. And it was interesting that contrast between the characters. It wasn't until he wouldn't help the others that we see the conflict with the Tabibachi, the chief mechanic,
yeah,
and then when they get back to the island, you see the muted transport ride back. But then, as you said, is the post-war city bomb. I mean, we see the devastation of what the fire bombings did. A lot of times people talk about the A bomb and things like that, but what people don't understand is the fire bombings did a lot more damage and a lot more destruction than the bombs actually did. But you see that setting, what he came home to. His family was dead. Uh, his neighbors had lost their kids. You really set a depressing environment, but like you said, it was all muted in the colors and everything around it. Really set a whole environment for you know of where the movie started and moved towards.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very. One of the themes that I loved about it was how it dealt with PTSD, of course,
Mm-hmm.
the like survivor's guilt, the stress, the questioning, your crazy orders that you have to throw away your life for your country, things like that. And this was at the end of the war, so people were
Mm-hmm.
kind of they were out, weren't they? They were like, no, this is enough. We don't want to do this anymore. He was
Mm-hmm.
fighting that, but he was also fighting his responsibility to his country. His supposed patriotism. It was such a really good dynamic there.
And the conflict he had with his own parents. His parents said, "Come back alive."
Yeah, yeah,
You know that was what was always ringing. He had one was what his military orders were, but he also had his parents come back alive. Which one do you who's more important, your government or your parents? But we see also the cultural stigma with it, because his neighbor blamed him for the loss and the losses that happened, because and she hit him several times, like blaming him, had you done your job. So we see that all that strife, that tension between the characters like that. And we see, I think, with that setting that they did there, it really set up the way the whole movie ended. And folks, of course, we're probably going to be spoilers tonight, but the movie's been out long enough that it's we can't help to talk. This is, Gray, this is one of the movies, and we'll talk movies a lot around here, but this is one of the hardest movies I've ever had to talk about it. You can't not use spoilers. It is like, just everything is so interrelated.
Yeah.
So everything is built on top of each other. It's like you naturally are going to spoil things.
Yes, we're trying our best not to spoil it, but as you say, it's been out for a while now, and I'm sure there's so many videos talking about it. People know the story.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was interesting too that they said it earlier, because the Godzilla movies that I'm used to from the black and white is all started in the 50s, and seemed like that they started after World War II. Like towards the Korean War. In the 50s. Right. This one went back earlier. Which was interesting, that they went that far back, and that hooked me, because the World War II concept of it, and that really got my interest from the very beginning. I did not expect that. I was expecting something in a later time period, but what they did, like I said, also with the way they set it up with the whole pilot issue, his stress and everything that he dealt with sets up the hero's journey in this movie, and how he grows, and does what he does at the end. And then we see at the end how he it kind of works out for good. But one of the things, let's take a look at Master's comment. The first Godzilla is not even counted to be a monster movie, more so as an allegory to the happenings by the end of the Second World War, Hiroshima, and possible future what the Japanese might be. And it goes far deeper, and once you know all that, all kaiju movies get another layer put on. And I think that's what this movie did. It actually went deeper than I expected.
Same here. Yeah, absolutely.
Because it truly built up, and hopefully they make more of these going forward. Because we know he's mutated because the atomic exposure. Because can you really kill Godzilla? Is what my question is now.
It's a good question. It's a question that keeps coming up in the comments and all the videos that people have made about it. There's lots of people with a lot more knowledge than me. I'm pretty new to the Godzilla movies. I've only seen the more recent ones, but this one, Dadman, this one sent me back to the original, the 1954 Godzilla, which it's a dark movie. It's worth watching. It's it's very similar to this one in a way.
Yeah, because I think what we're getting used to is the cartoony, goofy, bubblegum type of Godzilla movies. I'm like you, though. I really am like you. I'm not familiar with a lot of the lore, the legend of the Godzilla movies. I rely on a lot of people like Masters or Hungry Boy to kind of fill in the blanks and tell me a lot of the things. I just like to go watch a movie and be entertained. And this movie really is one of the best movies of the year. And it's a shame that it only got the one Oscar nomination, I think. It's like it because plot-wise, it was there. Plot-wise, it just was like, this movie should have gotten a lot more nominations than what it did. Because we don't see this very often. And a lot of people, I think, prejudge the type of kaiju movies as it being hokey or goofy or for very limited sections of people,
Yeah, absolutely. It should have got more. I think I've heard from people maybe who've talked about there are reasons it didn't. It could be because it came out late, right near the end of the year. It could be because it's a foreign movie. I'm not sure, but I thought at least the soundtrack would have got a nomination, because that's awesome.
Oh, speaking of that too, what did you think? I was not prepared for it when I saw it the first time in color. Was that when you start getting those recognizable sounds and music from the old movies?
Yeah, that's right. I forget the composer, but they mixed in some of the classic Godzilla themes from the first one, and I think the first few movies. It's great when they were doing that, wasn't it? When they were kind of mixing that into the main soundtrack.
Yeah, when Godzilla's triumphant and you got that, yeah, I won't even try to do the themes. I'm so far off with themes and music, but that was what's so stunning was like you hear that and it like grabbed your attention, like what the heck, it just to see that it's kind of, and I tell you what, to me that's an emotional reaction. I probably would have reacted even more emotionally. I do that sometimes with Star Wars and stuff like that. It's like when I've watched the Star Wars movies again on the big screen, I get kind of choked up a little bit, from my childhood memories and stuff like that, uh, and things like that. But this one actually made an emotional connection when you hear that iconic music and sound with Godzilla, the King of the Monsters. He certain his dominance and that majestic, and the destruction. It was just so. This movie had so much that added, and it's good to see the throw back to the originals, what made the originals what they were, between the music, the effects, even the anchors on top of the roof, and everybody running for their lives in the city. It just was, especially seeing it in black and white now, you could tell a lot more with the similarities than in color.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they made it for, they keep saying 15 million, but I think it was less than that. And it's unbelievable. It's staggering. It just looks so good. Not just the CGI. I mean, the CGI at times, you know it's CGI, but it doesn't take you out of the movie. It doesn't go
Mm-hmm.
over the top, try and do too much like we seem to get a lot these days.
It, and like we talked about, the black and white with the detail was amazing, and I think we saw it tonight, especially with Godzilla. Like you mentioned, the night scene. Anytime he got up and he walked, I mean, it just looked amazing. It looked like, I just, maybe if they ever used a bodysuit, who knows? I don't know what, but it was very well done with what they did with his movements in this movie. And and like I said, I'm stuck at the eyes, but he uh he really was king of the monsters with this one. He really was something. Now, one of the complaints that kind of I've heard some people say is they wish there had been more Godzilla in this one.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah. I got a lot of those comments about that on my first review. People are saying, "Oh no, they were disappointed when I was saying it really focuses on the human story." But I think it works, Dad. Man, what about you?
Well, did you? What did you? I mean, do you really think? What do What's your opinion with that? I mean, do you think it was a right balance of it? Could they have had more of the Godzilla in it, or did you like the human aspect better?
The second time I watched it, I felt like, okay, there's more Godzilla than I remembered. I got this impression that it was really just like only a few minutes, but it felt like there was a lot more. But as we said earlier, I got caught up in the human story. That really pulled me in because of the writing, like the acting, the performances. So yeah, I think it was enough. But I understand people who say, oh no, we wanted more of the Godzilla scenes.
Yeah, I think if they had another monster in it, then maybe you could have done some more of that. But I do hope they make more of these movies, because like I said, we were happy that it's the first time in years that we are glad that we weren't cheering against the humans. It was
I
like,
know, eat them for God's sake. That's what we used to cheer, isn't it?
oh my god! I think it was the one with Mecha Godzilla. Somehow they ended up in China and then the U.S. in like 2 seconds or something, and it was like the one girl's whining all the time. It's like, please, please, just yeah, eat them all. Yes, I agree with that exactly. I mean, the wife and I were like saying that. I mean, but in this movie, I didn't want anything bad to happen to the humans. You felt sorry for the people running for their life. The main characters, you saw all like you had touched on about the PTSD, was really, really hard hitting in the way that they did it. And, you know, I understand with wanting the monsters in a monster movie, but they did such a good job that of the human element that I think they did better for setting up future movies if that's what the intent is by doing what they did.
Yeah, it does feel much more like an origin story, even though you don't see really where he came from. Do we? I think it
Mm-hmm.
works as a really good origin story, as you say. It sets things up for the future. And the director Takashi Yamazaki, he said he's totally up for doing a sequel, but the film company Toho, they've there's been no word from them, so he's waiting to hear. He said, and he hopes that he doesn't hear another name,
Mm-hmm.
attached to the new movie if it gets made.
Yeah, and I understand Toho, I guess, is the original makers of Godzilla. the
That's
original
right.
studios. So I know that, which is kind of interesting that from what I've heard, is that this really follows more of what the originals were like, and it's interesting that it comes from the studio that are like them, not everything we've been getting is from Hollywood and other studios, and we get the fancified monsters and all kinds of crazy plots and all this other stuff instead of just a basic movie. And with that, Master said though, think it refocused very much on the genuine plot, and also find dropping right decisions if it comes to quality screen time and suspense, because it became a movie, not just a destroy everything movie.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't just a video game clip, was it? It was a really good story.
Mm-hmm. And really, it had good, engaging dialogue that kept your interest. Unlike so many of what we had in the last 10 years, it's like scream and run, and really very very little depth to that. So to the human characters, it's bad that you have to cheer against the it's a monster movie. You like the good things happen to the monsters, just not the people. But we were like that with the Cocaine Bear. Have you ever seen Cocaine Bear?
I've heard of it. I know of it, but I've not seen it. I didn't get a theatrical release over here, but
No.
I'll try. I'll
Well,
try and watch it on streaming if I
well,
can.
you might want to make sure the little ones aren't around, because I will say it will be gory, but it's that that over the top fake gory.
Yeah, sure.
That it's so extreme, it's absurd that you have to laugh at it. But yeah, what's so funny was Mrs. and I did a movie review on it earlier this year. We loved it. We liked it a lot better than the Flash or Ant-Man. So the
Okay,
CGI
that's
was
cool.
better.
I couldn't
Exactly.
finish either of those movies. Dad, man, The Flash or
You
Ant Man.
couldn't.
I'm a huge comic book fan. I turned them off halfway through. I thought they were terrible.
Well, what about those two? Let's take a look at those, because I know you're big into the comics. What were the big deficiencies? Let's take Ant-Man first. What I mean, this especially since you couldn't finish the movies. That's got to be bad.
I know it's weird. It's maybe because maybe it's my old age thing, but I just found it a complete, confusing, chaotic mess. The CG, the colors, it was just awful. It just like I couldn't enjoy it, and there was no story there to me. Ant Man should be the focal point of the story, and he was a kind of side character in the movie. It was really weird.
It seemed like they focused more on Hank Pym and his wife, and her
Yeah,
being gone, instead of Ant-Man itself.
that's right. That's right. What about the Flash, though? What did you think? Because I'm a big DC Comics fan, probably more than Marvel, and I was looking forward to it. I'd heard it was supposed to be great, but I just thought, I don't know, there was no there was no emotion, there was no feeling behind it. It was just
No, there
empty.
it was just like a dead movie. We loved Keaton though. We loved Keaton,
Oh
but
God, yeah, that's why I went to watch it.
yeah,
Absolutely.
especially when you hear it, I'm Batman. It was like, yes, see, but yeah, it was also a dead movie. You just, and then the copy Flash guy. It's like,
Oh
now we got
God,
two of them.
one's bad enough. Yeah, sorry, sorry to the actor, but I can't see him in the role. He doesn't play a good Flash. Very annoying version of the character, and to get two
No,
for the price of one.
well, I think that shows you how critical it is to cast these actors good actors for
Yes.
the roles. Though, if you get a bad actor miscast in a role, it's like, it's like you wouldn't want a Homer Simpson playing Batman. I mean, it would be a completely nobody could believe it and stuff. So, and here comes Stunning. Hey, Ezra Miller's worst Flash ever conceived. Well, Stunning, like I told you, I think you should be the Flash. Okay, not flashing everybody, but just you should be the Flash. Uh,
Yeah, it was a
but
bad
yeah,
bad casting choice, wasn't it? It was really, unfortunately.
because he had no presence. You look at Michael Keaton, he had presence. Any of the Batmans, they have presence. Yeah, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, she's got commands of screen. I've always been a Linda Carter Wonder Woman, obvious reasons, being a kid in the '70s. But but Gal Gadot actually did well in those roles as Wonder Woman and had a presence. Jason Momoa, even as Aquaman, there's presence. But Ezra Miller's just kind of like, you want to kind of just consider him like a little, just kind of like that whiny 13-year-old over, in sidekick land.
Yeah, absolutely. His take on it was very, shall we say, very strange. Maybe that was the director, I don't know, but or is that just Ezra Miller being himself?
No, I think anytime when you rely on time travel and carbon copies of characters in the same thing in times, it just you're struggling, you know. And then of
Yeah.
course we had that thing where he goes back, turns up time or whatever, and then we had all these Supermans.
Okay, I've heard about these scenes. I haven't even seen it because I didn't watch
Oh,
the
you didn't
second
finish? Yeah,
half.
that's right. You
So,
didn't finish it. Yeah, it
what was
had
it
this one.
like?
It was Mrs. If Mrs. If you're still around and lurking, I know she had some thoughts about that, but it was like it just didn't seem right. I mean, you had George Reeve there. You had Christopher. You had Christopher Reeve too. You know, had all these because of all these universes and all these Supermen,
Did they
and then
do
of
a Nick
course
Cage version as
they
well?
did a Nick Cage with his hair
No
flowing.
way.
Yes, they did. They did that too. The
I'm
one
kind of
that was
curious to
rumored
see that, but
that was rumored but never happened. But yeah, they had a CGI of Nick Cage with his hair flowing.
oh wow,
Yeah, all that.
I need to watch it now. The ending.
Oh gosh, it was just like, but it was like getting to that point, and but even then, it was like, then they rolled it all together. You love Michael Keaton as Batman, and it just seemed like it was a Batman movie with a Flash in it.
Yeah, it felt like they brought him in, didn't they, to basically maybe sell the movie or hopefully make it land harder. Michael Keaton is he's awesome, and what from what I saw of him in it, he was great.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just, I that was a hard movie. I will say that if you want a good Nick Cage movie to watch the one he made about himself, the incomparable talent of Nick Cage, that came out last year.
Okay, I've heard it's very good. Yeah.
It is good. It is good. It's kind of he talking about himself in the third person and him and Pedro Pascal. It's quite funny when Nick Cage kind of pokes at himself a bit. It's really if you want to see a good one, that's a good one. Now, but with these two comic book movies, do you find it a disturbing trend with what we have with the modern comic movies then? Because oh wait a second Mrs. comes in now, said I hate it, a bunch of nostalgia grabbing with Keaton and the Reed Superman.
Okay. Yeah. There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly. And they had Helen Slater too there as Supergirl in one with I think Christopher Reeve in the scene. So it just, and it was kind of like, why did y'all put this in here? It was just it was, so much of whatever. But with the state of modern comic book movies, do you think there are too many? Have we ever done it? I know there's discussions about the Marvel, the MCU, and all this stuff. Maybe is it overdone or is it just bad writing? What do you how do you see this? You said with comics, and you love comics. What do you see the status of Hollywood entertainment now with these superhero movies?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, as a big comic book fan, it's crazy to say, but I think they should take a break, like a long break. Don't make any for a while. I think that'd do the movie industry a good. What do you think?
Uh, I normally don't like that idea. I normally think that there's room for a lot of it. I I think the market could be there. It's just the writing's got to be better.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You got to quit with time travel for one thing. You got to it just and some of the gizmos and gadgets and just make a good old. And one thing I think they should stop doing: stop killing off your bad guys.
Mm, that's it.
Not every movie has to end with the bad guy being permanently defeated. Let him escape, come back for another day. I mean, at the risk of getting hijacked by masters out there, that's what I think with Darth Maul and Star Wars is they screwed up, killing him off in Phantom Menace, and then they regretted it. Now they come up with some convoluted Koheki story to bring him back when he did something he's a third-rate Sith
That was a
apprentice.
bad decision. Yeah, Phantom
Yeah,
Menace. They should never have killed him in that.
well, if you're going to use him later to sell double-bladed lightsabers, then don't kill the guy off. Because what they've done with him, and people tell me watch Rebels, and I'm one of these people that I do not want to have to watch other stuff to get the point of something else. I just don't want to be forced to do that. I would like to watch stuff and the natural progression of things. My biggest problem with the whole Darth Maul, people say, well, they explained it this way, they explained it that way. But to me, is explain it, whatever. Well, the best that a great Sith Lord like Exar Kun did is he could only stay around, and even the Emperor, they could only stay around in spirit forms. Now the Emperor had some clone bodies, but they could not last long. So you tell me this third-rate Sith apprentice that got cut in half by a Jedi apprentice magically uses hate to stay alive so much that he cannot die. Just put some spider legs on him. That was the hurdle I could never jump over. And it's like because you're asking me to believe he could do something more powerful Sith Lords couldn't. And so, and I think that's sometimes a problem with the consistency in some of these things is it's one thing suspending belief, but there's another thing like just the unbelievable, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, well, trying to bring back Palpatine for that third sequel. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
They were grasping at or reaching at straws there, weren't they?
I know, and it kind of reminds me what happened with I guess Endgame, and then the next one, with they reset everything, and then Tony Stark goes, and now Captain America's old. It's just like, what did y'all do with this? Why did y'all take this direction to get us to this point? And I think sometimes instead of just trying to tell segments of stories, they try to tell everything with a nice bow on it. Then they decide, we need to make more movies, but you've already written yourself into a corner instead of developing new adventures, new things.
I think they probably peaked, didn't they, with Infinity War? That was so good, and then of course you had Endgame as a kind of it finished off the story. But I think at that point they should have reset. They should have gone somewhere else. Maybe it was because of rights they couldn't do it, but they should have gone, say, for Fantastic Four. Start setting up or set up the X-Men. Do a new start from there. But instead they were just focusing on these secondary characters. Not the main characters, and they just lost the writing. They lost the point of what they were doing.
Now, see, one of the characters I'd like to see them do something serious with and do it right. They did it with the animated cartoon series, but Green Lantern. Why can we not have Green Lantern and good Green Lantern? But
that
growing
would be
up,
awesome.
Well, one of my biggest frustrating, I don't know if you remember Saturday cartoons like back in the 70s and 80s, you wake up, you had Justice League of America and stuff, but it was always about Batman and Superman. It's like, can we not get an episode of Green Lantern? At least what's developed in the last 20 years is we've gotten Iron Man. Finally, we're getting Aquaman. We're getting some of these other characters. Unfortunately, the writing is questionable, but because like the Green Lantern movie, I didn't mind it, but a lot of people come together and say that the Green Lantern movie was not good. Is that one that you had any experience with?
I enjoyed it too. But I've got to point this out. I'm not a knowledgeable fan of Green Lantern. I don't know the lore, but I thought it was all right. The movie. I know it gets a lot of criticism.
Well, see, hey, DJ Play Nice, good to see you. Hey, thank you for your support. Appreciate you being here. Oh, he's really big avatars tonight. So Master said comics and superheroes are around for 3 generations now and never lost interest. First time that happens because they rip them off, swirl them around, add some green milk, and serve as that. Yeah, exactly. It happens. So,
not the green milk, no.
No, not the green milk. Oh man, Studying said Dark Knight films were the last good DC films, even those weren't true to Batman's character across the board. See, I think what your point is, you're not necessarily into the big, all the lore, and that's where some of the people I hang out with are more into the lore. They know the other stuff and all that.
Sure.
I think sometimes being that not knowledge, I think sometimes that puts us in a better situation to be able to enjoy something. Like maybe people that were not necessarily Star Wars like I was growing up and so on, may be able to handle the new stuff now. And it's the same thing like in the Marvels and the comic movies. They may like the new stuff, but I will say I like the Green Lantern movie like you did. I like yes, exactly, the iconic with that voice. Meanwhile, back in the Hall of Justice, that was Ted Knight, I believe. Ted Knight, God. Caddyshack. Judge.
We didn't have that in the UK growing up, Dad. We were very limited to what. Yeah, we didn't get all the cartoons.
If you can ever find the Hall of Justice, the League of the Super Friends, if you can ever find that was 70 Saturday morning here in America. Nice. What our Saturday morning was you'd wake up at They start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and all the networks, CBS, NBC, they all had their set of kids shows and morning cartoons. And it was ABC, I believe, had the Hall of Justice, the Super Friends, were every week. Of course, now they started kind of got weird with, um, when they added the Wonder Twins, Wonder Twins Activate and stuff like that. But I do think that you and I might be in a better position not having known the lore. We can go in more of an open slate. The recent Marvels movie, I don't know, have you had a chance to see that one?
I didn't watch it. No.
I actually dragged the missus to watch it. She went with me. I actually didn't mind it. I
Okay.
It got a lot of bad mouth beforehand, a lot of bad press and stuff. It was actually not a bad movie. I actually liked the characters. Well, Bree is Bree and will never change. But I mean, discounting that, the whole movie I thought overall worked in some ways. Now, not being familiar with the lore, I'm sure that they destroyed some stuff and things that would upset people that had more knowledge of the lore. But I'm also a believer that you can't stay completely beholden to whatever the lore is before. Um, oh gosh, stunning! The great superpower of great indifference with modern superhero movies, and see, Leia Rose liked the Marvel movie. Yes, exactly, and because I thought it was an entertaining movie. I think sometimes, unfortunately, in our modern entertainment, and especially with YouTube, Twitter, and a lot of things, sometimes we get in a hurry to prejudge things without watching them.
Oh yeah, for
That
sure.
we tear things down so much to the point where we don't even give something a chance. Now, I will say, I feel like that in some things. I will say I'm not completely 100% pure with that and consistent with my own thing. But like Marvel movie, I was willing to take a chance on it. Whereas maybe not with Star Wars, but I no,
Masters.
no, heart attack
Call an
upcoming.
ambulance, quick!
Call an ambulance. Stat.
Tell you, Dad, man. The last two that I saw, or the last three I've watched in the cinema in the theater. It was Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. Then the Spider-Man, was it Far From Home or No Way Home, the last one,
Uh-huh.
and then Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And I enjoyed them all. And I know Doctor Strange gets a lot of flack, he gets a lot of criticism, but I liked the darkness. I liked the kind of Sam Raimi-ness of that, even though it was a bit of a hatchet job. It got completely reshot and cut. There were things that I really enjoyed in there, but you've got people like screaming and shouting, saying this is terrible. It's the worst thing ever. I thought it was okay. But Spider-Man was really good. I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 3 more than Part 2. I thought that was a really good movie.
Exactly. Because one thing I say on my channel, and see Leia Rose is saying Star Wars positive, and that's one thing that we do on our channel over here. I know Masters like to give me a hard time about Darth Maul, so stunning, but you know, we encourage everybody to voice your own opinions here. If you like something, say it. You
Yeah.
know, we encourage different opinions. We want people to enjoy stuff, and we always say try it yourself. Try it for yourself. Don't let somebody else determine what you like and what you don't like. Now, granted, I will say I test myself when it comes to The Last Jedi, because as a old traditional Star Wars fan, that movie really destroys so much stuff that it ruined anything else new Star Wars for me going forward. For many reasons that we don't have time tonight. But you know what? My thing is, though, is if you like it, good for you. If you like the new Ahsoka and the other stuff, good for you. But always try it yourself. And I encourage people to say, if you like something, be confident to say it. We're Big Ten, and we like. And I tell you what, though, Gray, with that I also encourage people with different opinions. Does what it does?
Go on.
It helps us communicate better. I think
Yes.
when we can debate better, we can actually understand people where they're coming from. We can even fine tune our own arguments. And sometimes, I've learned from other people of a new way to look at something. I may not agree with it, but I can actually appreciate it in a way that I've never looked at it in a way before. And and it, like I said, it's hard for me in some things, like anything Star Wars, but it's because if all we do is agree and say yes, 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 and you have to love this. Oh, we love this, or all that's bad, 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 and we just become echo chambers saying the same thing, and what we have fun here is debating and having friendly arguments. I will say,
Absolutely, it's really
have fun,
important
be
to get
passionate, yeah, and be
get another point of
passionate.
view, isn't it? To listen to
Exactly.
people who say, "Why do you like the movie or whatever the series that I don't like?" But listen to people's reasons. Give them a fair chance. If they just say, "Oh, this is amazing because it's amazing," it's not good. But you might hear some really good arguments as to why they enjoyed something. So yeah, leave yourself open. Don't prejudge.
Because I tell you, there was a movie, like oh God, I can't, the Shang-Chi movie. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Oh my
The
goodness,
Marvels
I
one.
didn't enjoy that, but I'm a big
You
fan of the 1970s comic version,
okay?
so they
Now
didn't make
see,
that.
that's one I liked. I thought it was okay. The missus wanted to see it too, but you did not like that. What about that movie did you not like about?
They just didn't get the character. It was basically it's like a Bruce Lee version of James Bond from the comics. I'm talking about the old comics from the 70s. It could
Hmm.
have been great. It could have been like the best kung fu spy movie ever made, but I thought they just made it. I don't know, modern Marvel. I don't like to say that, but they just didn't get the characters. But there were good things in there. I like
Hmm.
the background story of his parents. That was interesting.
Yeah. Hell West Cagle, good to see you too tonight. Good to see. Good to have you with it. So
Hey,
exactly. Now, I tell you, and that's what, like Stanning says, he sticks with the old stuff and all that, and that's fine. If that's what you are, then that's fine. And I like learning from that. I like going to movies, because I like to get my popcorn, so I'll kick the tires on a lot of stuff. And if you don't, Master says, yeah, he's joking. Second is far too grumpy, and third, I had the channel freaky anyway. We love you here, Masters, though. We love you here. So we, but yeah, it's one of the biggest problems I have though is when I get on a rampage with Star Wars. That's the one to me that, and I try to like, and I do. I have people that argue with different things and stuff like that. See, I'm one though that's old school Star Wars, but I also, and I love the expanded universe, but I never really thought the expanded universe should be the only way to go forward because it would be boring if you knew what every movie was going to be like, or if all the characters are the same. I think you could. My thing with Star Wars was like when they killed off Han Solo and they made Luke what they did. It just ripped the heart out of what Star Wars was, which to me was the bloodline of Anakin Skywalker.
they could have made good movies. They could have made really good stories, but
Mm-hmm.
instead they decided to basically not just sacrifice, but almost murder the original characters, which is a real shame.
Yeah, because the whole point was that it was about the bloodline of Anakin Skywalker. If you looked at the grandkids and all that stuff, had they done these new characters like with the Skywalker names, not even the ones from the EU, change their names or give them whatever else different. Because I tell you, like I said, I don't think you could take the EU and make all those books into movies because they would be boring. They could get boring, but develop new adventures. But the thing is, you keep the spirit of it.
Yeah,
And I think that
that's
that
it.
sometimes is what's losing a lot of people, whether it's MCU, the DC, all this is that so many times we're losing the spirit of what made those characters great.
Yeah, it's a
You
great
got
point.
Shang-Chi, which is a completely different Shang-Chi than what you knew of and what you expected to see. Uh, as is Luke Skywalker is no more, he's now Jake Skywalker forevermore.
Oh
And,
no, not
and
Jake.
no, and it's like, and it's just like, uh, and that's what I think with this Godzilla movie really did something really really nice because unlike the last 15 20 years of Godzilla movies that we've had of just it's just annoying humans, shallow writing, and basically the emphasis on destruction.
Yeah,
it, you know
spectacle.
we actually got a movie that not only in color hit the spirit right on the head of it, it also got even better in black and white. How the heck can you do that? There's two things that I've always been against: black and white movies, because I will not watch. I've not watched Miracle on 34th Street. I've not watched all those Christmas movies and stuff. I know the missus likes all those and does that. She'll watch a lot of black and white
No
movies.
way, man. It's a Wonderful Life. Dad,
I
man, come on.
I know, but well, I grew up with the singing in color and stuff like that. As I get older, I'm branching out. So the missus says, "Let's watch it." I'll watch it with her. So, but yes, but see, it's like Temple of Doom. As I did not like that when I watched it years ago, but I watched it last year, and I actually appreciate it more now that I'm older. When I was in the 20s, it was all sports and nothing else, you know.
Sure, your
Color,
tastes always
so
change, don't you, depending on
yeah.
your age.
Well, of course, being married 28 years to the great wife that's got a lot of class and grace, you know, you start to mature a little bit and, you know, look at things a little bit differently. And, you know, and so, you know, that's where I see, you know, things like that happening and expanding. But, you know, the we actually have a good movie that stayed true to the lore and kept the spirit of the movies alive, even though maybe it did focus a little bit too much on the humans, but they did what they did. They did it well. They did it very well in the spirit of Godzilla there. So
Yeah.
yeah, and Stunning says until WB gains a semi understanding of DC characters and what they're really about, spending time and money elsewhere, and that's the beauty. You can do what you want to, where you want to, and stuff. Yeah, we know your prejudice against DC. Masters, to say nothing. Oh, there's one more thing. Darth Maul. I love you, Masters. You're so fun out there. But yeah. Oh my goodness. So, but you know, it's your mileage may vary, and that's kind of thing, and that's what we do around here. Because you know, like I said, I like to interview people, talk to people about their experiences. Is what is the best of all the animation that you've seen, whether it's comic book? Well, we talked about kind of the rough, the bouncies. What is the best comic book animation conversion to movies that you've seen?
Wow, that's a tough one, isn't it? It's got to be animation or not like live action?
Like say like the superheroes, all that stuff, anything in the animation that they actually made into live action, not live action movie. Well, I guess live action movie, but that they actually put on the big screen. What has been your favorite of all the superhero movies that they actually made on screen?
If we're talking live action, believe it or not, the original Superman, 1978, Christopher Reeve,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's still one of my favourites, and Superman 2. All these years later, the Batman 89, which, believe it or not, I was a huge fan at the time when it came out. It kind of disappointed me when I watched it at 16 years old, but I've since come to really love that movie. I think it's got a great kind of pulpy noir feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And Batman the animated series, yeah, Stunning and
Yeah.
Brave, Megatron, you got that. That's probably one of the best, or even not the best animated or cartoon adaptation.
Have you seen the Green Lantern animated series?
No, I haven't. I
You
didn't know
should
there was
check
one.
that one out. Yes, there is an animated series that is fabulous. Clobber
Okay.
Times had recommended it to me. I watched it, and everybody, I know Stunning likes that one too. So yeah, it's if you get a chance, check that one out. I'm actually starting to get back into anime a little bit. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
some of the videos I'm actually watching too. Panther Girls has been recommended to me by another channel. Doing that a little bit, but one that I'm really binge watching right now is Legend of the Galactic Heroes. That is
Oh.
that is one that my oldest kid watched with me. There was an original version, then they had a DS. It's a German DS Thune or something, a different subtitle, and I'm in the middle of that one right now. I've got Gotcha Man, the original, you know, like the precursor of the Battle of the Planets and stuff.
Oh
And
God,
it's
yeah, I
really,
love that. The original one, yeah.
yeah, and it's really interesting because what I did not know is that, see, from the 70s America here, Battle of the Planets, and then, of course, they did jump the shark a little when Seven's Arc 7 came in, but but it was like Battle of the Planets. I did, as a kid, I had no clue that I thought America made all this stuff. It's not till like recently my kids like, Dad, that stuff started in Japan. That stuff started in Japan. It was like, and then told me it was much more mature. The Gotcha Man had some themes and
Oh
other
God,
things
yeah.
that had
Did
to
you
be.
guys get the censored version? Because in the UK we got
Yes,
the completely censored version with like
we,
extra scenes put in with a weird R2D2 like robot in it,
yeah,
which wasn't in
Seven's
the
Arc
original.
7, Seven's Arc 7. Yes, exactly.
That
Because
was crazy. I had
well,
no
my
idea
kid,
about that for years.
yeah, I didn't either until recently. My kid's like, Dad, your Battle of the Planets was sanitized and stuff for Western censors because the Gotcha Man was, I mean, Zoltar had certain parts of their background that could be a debate these days. That back then would have really been like problematic, and other things and other themes. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, no, America made the show. She's like, no, it's starting in Japan. Have you? I've not actually sat down to be able to watch it. It's one on my to-do list. But have you? I love Battle of the Planets. I love the censored version we got. It sounds like you did too. But have you ever had a chance to look at the original Gotcha Man?
Yeah, in Japan, of course, in Japanese, so it's a bit difficult to understand for me because my language level is not perfect. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I love seeing the. It's a lot more violent, of course, than I remember, as you say, and that character that you're mentioning that back in the day, Japan had this on screen. It was no problem, but would have been maybe considered a bit problematic back then. That
Mm-hmm.
was really interesting.
Wes Cagle saying Good Tunes Batman series came out. Stunning said Green Lantern Emerald Knights is also a good direct to DVD movie to watch. So,
Have you
yeah.
watched Dadman? Have you seen the Batman Mask of the Phantasm, the animated movie
I have
version?
heard about that. I have heard about that, but I've not had a
That's worth
chance
a
to
look.
watch
It's
it.
very good.
Okay. Yeah. Stunning says that one goes into different. See, that's another thing. I did not know there's so many different versions of the lanterns. I thought everything was
Mm.
Green Lantern until I watched the animated series. Then I realized you
Okay.
got red, yellow, blue, or whatever colors. So yeah, and hey, OT, good to see you. Our CLS studio. Uh, good to see you again. I know you're waiting to change that back. But before I forget, there's a question, and I want to keep talking a little bit anime with what we got in a little bit of time. But the guy, I want to get back to the Godzilla movie again for just a second because there was a question that did slip my mind. The I think we talked about it in the back room, but subs versus dubs. Are you big into the subs or dubs? The debate around here is I like the dubs, so I don't have to necessarily look at it, so I can watch other things. Do you have a preference?
With movies and with growing up, I always used to watch the sub version. I don't know why. It wasn't even a choice back then. I think that's all I had access to. So I believe in the States you got a lot more anime than we did, and they were usually, well, they would have been dubbed versions, won't they, of the classic anime series. We didn't used to get much in the UK. It was really
Mm-hmm.
limited.
Yeah. And hello, humans and other critters from Snortopoopas Q Burr. Howdy, sir.
Snortopoopus.
Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. So, well, that's one of our debates around here, and actually, it's funny because I want to bring up this particular movie is I've always been a sub versus dub guy because I don't always want to read stuff, but Mrs. After we watched it the first time, she looked at me and she said, "Now to you," and she asked because she knew me with the history, the World War II history, and the stuff like that. She said, "Did that movie make a difference to you?" Being see, was it subtitled or with with the original language, the native language, or would it have been different had it been dubbed with the English voices? And I said, yes, this was a movie that, to me, the sub was definitely worth it. To me, the sub and the native Japanese made it a better movie, made it more authentic than like because the bad 50s and 60s dubbing was like they'd finish talking, the sound would end, but the lips keep going,
Yeah, that's right.
which has always kind of become a running joke and stuff with a lot of people. But you got a serious movie, take it. And actually, to me, this is a case where sub made it. There's another movie called The 800 uh, that came out during 2020. It was actually one of the few movies that were released. It was made in China. It was about the Sino-Japanese War in Nanking, 1938, 1939, based on a true story. That's one that was like, to me, the sub made a difference because it's more authentic than your dubs. So yeah, I know people have debates on whether they prefer subs or dubs, but I really this movie. What would you have thought had they come out in English with this one?
I don't think it would have worked. It can work a lot, but with this movie, with it being a period movie as well, I just don't think it would have worked with the dub version. But I'm sure they will do one. I don't know about you. I prefer subs, but of course I've got the bias because of living in Japan for a long time. I can pick up a lot of the language, but I prefer to hear the original actors' voices. You know, you hear them emoting a lot better. It hits you harder if you hear their voices. But saying that, Dadman, sometimes I watch European drama series, and if there's an English option, I do try it and see what it's like, the dub version. But as I say, it depends what kind of show or movie it is. If you find yourself reading like endless subtitles, it can take you away from what's going on the screen. So it's tricky.
Yeah, that's understandable. So, all right. Well, I was just curious what we had thought about that. Because I was always big about callously disregarding the subtitles, but then it's like this movie, and like I said, another one where learning experiences where the subtitles were actually good and actually helped you get into that environment. Yes, we have talked about as much spoilers on Godzilla we did earlier today. This was just a follow-up question on.
We didn't spoil very much either. We were very, very careful. I think we were very good.
Dude, I don't know how we did it because like I said, I tried to talk about it once solo, and I'm like, how do I say anything about this movie without spoiling it? But I will tell you, OT, definitely go see it in the black and white version. I will say this. I think that I can say this is it's even better in the black and white version than in color. You think, Gray?
I loved it. Yeah, I love both versions, but it really got me. And I will say, this is not a spoiler, but sit in the theatre till the very end. Listen to the soundtrack, listen to the credits, watch the credits go to the end because you'll get a surprise. And it's not a post-credit scene. It's just fantastic audio. It's worth staying right till the end.
Absolutely. Definitely true. So with that, I think we talked. Wes Cagle had talked about he had started watching that Panzer. And are there any? I mentioned some of the animes that I'm starting to watch, trying to get into it a little bit more. Because American animations, either SpongeBob or which I love my SpongeBob. Don't get me wrong, I love my SpongeBob at times, but The Simpsons are a show that needs to probably go away.
I miss the old days. I miss the old Simpsons. I don't know what season it's up to now, but it used to be really good.
Well, the first 3 seasons were the best. The first season was definitely the best, especially the camping episode. I always said that's us, our family going out there. I'm Homer, obviously, so with the RV with the little tree growing out of it. So, but and like I was touching on earlier, the 70s and 80s, what we had in America, Saturday morning cartoon shows, and those don't happen anymore on network TV. We don't have the Super Friends. We don't have Scooby-Doo.
You don't have the Saturday morning cartoons?
Not anymore. No, that's
a shame.
Yeah,
it's like an American institution, that isn't it?
It was
like comic books.
Yeah, there was. There are possibly a few shows out there, but it's not. It's not what it was. 70s was an institution. 70s was a kid. You woke up. You got up and got into football. You got into your 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock cartoon shows. You get your cereal and do it. Oh God, Store to Poopas. Waiting for the sequel to SpongeBob, Loofah Lily. Yes, and yes, OT. There is a black and white version that is out in theaters now. If you had the choice, I would choose to watch it in black and white versus color. But either way, you can't go wrong. So, Stunning said Teen Titans was one of his favorite superhero cartoons growing up. Watched a lot of the Batman. Eventually went back and watched all the animated series and such. Then he discovered Transformers. Yes. So.
Wow. I was growing up, I was watching things like the time of He-Man. He-Man was on, as you say, Battle of the Planets. We had a show called Mysterious Cities of Gold. I don't know if you ever saw that. That was an anime, but it was put into English. And then Ulysses 30, was it 33? I can't remember now. Yeah, that was a French and Japanese anime production. It was really good.
I just thought back about what we're talking about too. It just still surprised me, like you said, or things that we've only learned recently. I could not believe my kid was like looking at me. I was crazy when I said, "Really?" I thought Battle of the Planets, which is a show I loved. Did not realize it came off Gotcha Man, and yeah, it's interesting to hear your side. You grew up in the UK, and you had dealt with the censors too with it. It's like we did over here, and it is very, very interesting. And going to a bigger scope of this beyond just animated shows, but even the dramas in television. The missus loves her K dramas, loves a lot of her Asian. Hey, Lisa, yes, Battle of the Planets. Yes, good to see you, Lisa. Yes, that, yeah, we talked about that. It was based on the series Gotcha Man, which came from Japan. And Lisa saying hello to both of us.
Hey
Hello.
Lisa, gotcha man, yeah, gotcha man. Battle of the Planets, it was
Yeah.
awesome.
Wes Cagle said he's more of a dub guy version of anime when available. Don't want to read when watching a show. See, and I understand that. So, and the scripts are not always faithful translations. See, we see that too in some of the things. Where I was going was the missus is starting to get me into K dramas, and oh, absolutely cannot go wrong with that Battle of the Planets as a favorite. So, but the missus is getting me into the K dramas and stuff. We actually have gotten into several series. I like the Korean ones where they go back into the past, like where they wear the hats and the. And I don't mean no disrespect. I don't know how to describe it otherwise, but the previous eras and periods, uh, and then and then the modern day. I just the script writing is better, and I'm actually learning to pay attention to the subs, not the dubs, because the missus is adamant she prefers the subs, and just the writing seems more solid. So, the joke with American television, we borrow it off from everybody else. We either get comedies from Britain, or we get all this other game shows and other stuff from Japan. Have you?
I'm just
What do
trying to
you think
shout out in
about?
the chat, Dad man.
Yeah,
Someone's just, he was it talking about the young ones, Monty Python, the young ones, West Cagle. Oh my god,
yeah.
the young ones! I used to love that show, and I don't think many people have even heard of it overseas.
Oh, are you being served? Yes,
Oh, that's another good one. Yeah, very,
I
very
love
funny,
that.
very camp, very British.
Very things, and I love the way they talk about playing with the sensors. Is the Mrs. Peacock with her cat? They always referred to it by the other name. It was like, of course, everybody's looking at each other like that. But
That's cool
yeah,
that
I
you
mean,
guys got that over there. You even
yeah.
got. Are you being served? I can't believe it. I knew that Monty Python was, kind of popular. It was
Well,
well known, and
where those really happened was on our public broadcasting channels on
right,
PBS. That's
PBS, yeah.
usually where those came through a lot more. Now with streaming, now with BBC America, now with a lot of other options out there, you can get them from other sources. But yeah, I remember early on when we were married, we'd watch on Saturday nights the British comedies on our PBS show. I mean, oh, Hyacinth Bouquet, Keeping Up Appearances.
Mrs. Bouquet.
Mrs. Bouquet. Oh, Mrs. Bucket. No, it's Bouquet, the lady of the house speaking. It's like yes, but it's just funny as an American. All of it. It seems like all these other countries do better television. Now that I'm being exposed to the Asian shows, better written. I mean, I don't want to like what my wife wants to watch. I don't. I as red-blooded American guy, I don't want to like it, but she picks good stuff. She always has, and the writing in those shows are good. Even the things with the jump from the past to the future, the reincarnation,
Yeah,
they're coming together. Unlike what we see in all the other Western time travel space, where it doesn't make sense and stuff like that. It's just maybe it's better writing. How do you, if what do you think with? I mean, I know you're over there in Japan. Obviously, that's more of what you watch. Is there much of American television you watch, or how do you? What
yeah.
is your evaluation when you compare American television, say, to the Asian and to the British that you grew up with?
I'm watching quite a mix. It's funny you're talking about Korean drama because my daughter, who's grown up by the way, she's 22. She's a big K drama fan. She loves it and K-pop, K music. But I watch all sorts. I've just started watching the kind of not sequel, but Band of Brothers. I can't remember the name of it. There's one set in the UK, and it's about an American B-52. It might be B-52, like basically the bombing teams. What's it called now? It's just started. It's on Apple. Also, really enjoying that. Good American set, Second World War drama. Dad man, I mean, we were talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a quick look on Google. What's it called? Masters of the Air, nice one. West
Yep.
Cagle, I appreciate
Yep.
it. Yeah, you got it. That's been really good. I'm also watching things like the Japanese drama called Midnight Diner. Midnight Diner is really good.
Hmm.
Korean, I don't know about Korean, sorry. I don't really watch that many, but there's some good Korean horror. drama out there.
Oh, well, I tell you, one of the things that Mrs. and I've talked about, I got bored with The Walking Dead. I don't know if it's a zombie show. I don't know
I
if
used
you've
to
ever
watch it,
watched it,
yeah, back in the old
but it
days.
got boring and stale. But I tell you what, the Missus made the point to me once is those Korean zombies. I mean, you watch Train to Busan, great movie. Those zombies are flying. They're not just walking, limping. They're active.
They are terrifying. They don't mess about. They run. They come for you, don't they?
There was another one that was a Korean historical type of one. It's called The Kingdom.
Oh
It's
yeah.
one. That's one. I think I got through two seasons. And everything happened after 2020 threw it out of whack and all. I don't know if they continued beyond the second season or not, but that was a series that I really really liked um, to watch and stuff. And the other thing that the missus has introduced me, these shows are not like The Simpsons where they go on 35 years.
No,
Usually they're
that's right.
defined for a short period at a different thing. They tell a story and they're done, which I think sometimes is better than trying to run something into the ground like SpongeBob or Simpsons. But Small Time Republic's here. Hey, Small Time. Remember seeing Red Dwarf on PBS as a kid and wondering what the heck I was watching.
Lister and the cat, and Rimmer. Oh God, I used to love that show.
Yes. And Igor, the guy with the H on his forehead, the hologram.
Yeah, that's right. Arnold Rimmer. Oh,
I will
he's
say,
classic.
I will say though, and maybe this is a reason as I get older, my hearing's not what it was before, and I do have some trouble hearing some stuff because I do have to turn things up a lot, and maybe I've started appreciating the subtitles and the Asian shows more lately. The British accent has always been hard for me to pick up. I miss a lot of words with the British accent, and
Oh,
that's on
really?
the British comedy shows. That's the one thing that I've noticed as I'm getting older. I'm missing things, uh, not quite getting the line. So, and it's an advantage of doing the dubs. I mean the subs is then you know what they're saying, as long as they translate it properly.
That's right. That's true. Yeah, that can happen a lot with anime. You get kind of weird translations, or they do cut things out. But yeah,
Hmm. Well, let's see. Well, I mean, you got to. Let's see. It's funny how now we've flown out. This is kind of like one of our squirrel streams, Gray, where we can start out. We talk about something, then with the chat and you get the interest, we'll go somewhere else. We're having fun with
this
it.
is cool. This is what live streaming is all about, isn't it? It's great to get the interaction from the chat. The chat have been awesome.
Absolutely. I have everybody. Reimer, I don't know. Is that a British show?
It's double M. It's a Rimmer. That's a character from Red Dwarf with the guy with the hologram. The really
Rimmer.
stuck
Okay.
up like bureaucratic nightmare guy.
Oh, okay. All right. And then Snortopoopas talked about yes, Minister, yes, Prime Minister, good neighbors,
Yes.
alo. Fallen Rise of the original
Hello.
parent.
They'd never be able to get that made these days. Oh my god, it's too problematic. Taking the mickey of kind of the French in the Second World War.
Well, of course, you got the German uniforms too, which is kind of one of the things. It's like, oh,
Faulty Towers. Do you remember that one? Dad, man,
oh,
you couldn't make that anymore. No
Oh, I
way.
love Faulty Towers.
So good.
I love John Cleese. And you know what? I lost my crap one time because they had Bruce Boa as the rude American guest one time.
Oh,
Well,
I don't remember the episode. I'll have to try and find that.
you know what Bruce Boa is also famous for in the Star Wars, do you?
No, I didn't know. Who
He
is it?
played General Reagan, right? He played General Reagan in Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, it's the one with the ugly American, and he played the rude American in there. So, uh, and I guess is this from Alo Alo? Because I see Vici in it. He the Vici Swa.
Oh, I'm
I,
sorry, I can't remember. I can't
I'm
remember.
not
It's
sure,
been so
Mrs.
long.
But yeah, exactly. So
Faulty Towers or Watery Fowls. Yes, not a poopus. They used to change the sign, didn't they? Every episode, it was spelled
watery
something
fowls.
different.
Maybe the Simpsons stole that too with the changing signboard. So yes, this is love the signboard. But that was. It is so funny that it seems like so many of American shows have borrowed either from the comedy from the British. Mrs. even pointed out some of the game shows have come from Japan. Some of our game shows, like, have come from, England too. And it's just like, it's just so amazing how much, we borrowed from other people. I mean, we tried Faulty Towers. About 10, 15, 20 years somewhere. John Larroquette was tried to play the role of John Cleese.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, I can't remember what it was called, but I tried watching it and it was like, I mean, and I tell you what, it's a tribute to the comedians and the actors themselves. How could anybody? I don't care what your script is. How could you replicate John Cleese? How could you think you could pull off a TV show like that and copy it over here anywhere? You know.
How about the US version of the Office? Did that work? That go down well over
A
there?
lot of people liked it. A lot of people liked it. To me, it was like, I don't know. I've watched a few episodes here or there. It's not my thing. I'm more of a graphic. I'm more of slapstick type. That's why I do like
Okay.
SpongeBob. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, okay. There. No, that is from Red.
That's what he said when he was at the captain's table, and it ruined his career.
Oh.
Because vichyssoise
Oh.
is a cold soup, and he told take it back to the chef and heat it up.
He did.
Oh,
It
Yeah.
ruined his career, and that's why.
Oh, okay. Thank you for explaining that to me.
Yeah.
So, hey,
I couldn't
All
even
right.
pronounce it, but that's a
figured
great
it was
explanation.
easier.
I remember that. Yeah.
did I actually pronounce the word sort of right?
Vichyssoise?
Yeah.
Vichyssoise.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember how you
I
said
don't.
it.
I don't know. I said a vichyssoise. So hey, I've been banned from French, but hey, at least maybe I got one right. Snorter Poopas likes all of the black water. Oh, I see what she said. It's a cold soup. You do not heat it up. So, all creatures great and small. I remember hearing about that one. So,
Oh, they've done a remake of that fairly recently. I think Channel 5 over in the UK have done it, and I've not got it over here in Japan, but I've heard it's really good. There's a really good remake of it.
yeah. Oh, Small Time Republic saying The Office was great until Steve Carell left. So, and then of course, okay, and then Wes Cagle didn't like this. So your mileage may vary with
If
it.
you like Steve Carell, you might enjoy it. If you don't like Steve Carell, you probably won't. I see.
Exactly. Oh, Star Poopas calls it swishy fouls just to annoy people.
Je ne parle pas le français. Zen.
That is too funny. Oh my gosh! But yeah, with the British comedies, it's cool. I think probably my favorite of all the British comedies was Are You Being Served? To me, with Mrs. Peacock and the whole cast. I mean, it was such a show that they even had a sequel to it where they went to a retirement home. But it just was one of those great shows of all time, and it just a diverse cast, especially the older people. You had old to young, and young Mr. Grace. But I will say, I thought it lost something when young Mr. Grace moved on, and it happened. But his son came in and was like, I didn't think it quite worked the same way. But you compare that had a long run. A lot of the British shows had long runs, but it's really interesting to see how a lot of our Asian shows have had limited runs. And I don't know, do you prefer shows that only last a certain time, or do you, as long as it's good, you'll keep watching?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It depends. As we get older, the time factor is a problem. But like, is it 20 episode seasons? Kind of put me off a little bit. If you can do it in 6 or 8, I kind of prefer that nowadays. But because there's so much to watch, as you're talking, Dadman, not just from the past, but there is some good modern stuff out there. I would recommend Slow Horses, which is a very unknown British MI5 spy series on Apple with Gary Oldman in it. He's amazing. He plays a really like what's the word, slobby, unlikable character, but he's brilliant.
Yeah. I don't know. I just love a lot of the British guys. Monty, is, and one of the things that I know we bounced around between Asia, Britain, but it's really. I talked about John Cleese, but the whole Monty Python group,
Yeah.
how they've, affected comedy all around the world really for so long, both as a group and as individuals. Like John Cleese, playing some roles everywhere, and he's never the same character either.
No, it's I've just been watching a documentary on Netflix. It's not that recent. It's maybe 10, 15 years old, but it's really good. It gets their stories, it talks to them all. But it's weird, you don't see John Cleese chatting with any of the other actors, or the comedians, sorry. You sometimes see the others together, but I got the feeling that maybe they had a falling out. Maybe they kind of you know, distancing himself, but he's still brilliant. He's a legend.
Well, I love him in Rat Race. You know, he played Fish Called Wanda. I mean, everywhere he's kind of different, but he's the same, but he's different. But the legacy of the group has been amazing. How the stupid Monty Python and Holy Grail. Look at that movie. Look at what it has done. It's a running joke everywhere, still to this day. Of
It's
all
a
the
great
stuff
film as well. Not just
yeah,
funny, is it? It's shot so well. It looks really good. You know, it was a really really good film.
yeah. I the first time I ever saw that was just a couple days before high school graduation because I was walking the halls with a hall pass, skipping my English class, and went up to a friend's physics class, and they were playing it in the physics class. Like, what
No
the hell are you
way.
watching it? Yes, Wade, with all this stuff in it.
That's
Like, well,
awesome.
'cause at that point we're beyond doing any schoolwork when you're seniors, you're about to graduate, so it's like, hey, you know. But it was insane to see what happened with that. You know, it's just how it stood the test of time. A lot of these actors, I mean, they still are around. I know, just in what they've contributed to it, and the British, hey, the British contributed, and the Asian have contributed a lot to American entertainment over the years. And honestly, I just don't think the American industry can reproduce it to the level they do. And that gets back to the other issue of originality. Have we run out of originality or not? But that's another debate for another day. And Corey Cochran came in. Hey, Corey, good to see you.
Hey,
How are you
hey.
doing? Yeah. So, and I
It's
tell you what,
interesting,
yeah,
Dalvin, just
go
before
ahead.
we wrap things up, I grew up watching shows like these repeats. Used to watch Happy Days. I
Hmm.
watched Moonlighting. I was watching Cheers back in the day. I really enjoyed those American shows. Cagney and Lacey for the drama, cop drama, just like throwing things out. So I did grow up with like watching some American comedies, some American cop dramas.
Hmm.
You know, we did get a lot of that over in the UK. So it's interesting how we've had these different experiences, isn't it?
Well, what about shows like with the Southern experience, like BJ and the Bear or Dukes of Hazzard?
Oh, Dukes of Hazzard we got. I don't remember BJ and the Bear. Yeah, Dukes of
Yeah.
Hazzard. I love that. Of course, you know, with the whole car thing and Daisy
Yeah.
Duke. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Everybody
The
loved Daisy
Fall
Duke.
Guy.
In the
Fall Guy.
70s,
The A
yeah.
Team.
$6 Million Man. I mean, see,
Yeah.
American television had its time,
Wonder Woman, you
and
talked about before. You know, Linda Carter. Who can forget her?
oh yeah, definitely when you're 7 or 8 years old. But yeah, it's like, but yeah, and that's the thing is back then American television, like I was saying about the Saturday morning cartoons, it was there, it was solid until probably the mid '80s, and as we see, you know, even nighttime television in America is not what it was once before. So,
I
you
think it's the
know,
same in the UK from what I've heard. I don't live there anymore, but I think the BBC's
with,
gone right off. You know, I don't know about ITV. I
well,
mean,
see, even documentaries, when you have documentaries that people can't trust, you know, and the way Wes Cagel's opining there with that, you know, it's just, you know, sometimes just keep it factual, keep it, you know, light, and you know, avoid the lectures and just, you know, Knight Rider, A-Team, yes,
yes!
those were good original American shows.
Street Hawk. Anyone remember that?
No, I don't
The
remember Street
motorcycle
Hawk.
version of Knight Rider, basically.
Yeah. Well, I will say I did mess up on something earlier. It's Captain Peacock. It's Mrs. Slocum in her weird hair and her cat. Yes. Did you find my? It's like everybody's like looking at you. That's a way to bash the censors, you know. That's a mark of ingenuity and things like that. I know
Double
of others.
entendres. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because you're saying a technical term that's right. You know, you still you fight the censors. You know, we still see it. We're doing a Buck Rogers review too. We still see times when they're playing with the censors and stuff like that. You know,
Oh yeah,
that
they
Buck
had
Rogers
to.
25th Century. That was an old sci-fi Battlestar Galactica. Shows it
Yeah,
on
used to
lasted
have
1 or 2
those.
seasons. So,
Yeah,
oh gosh, Snore Poopa said 3 of the 5 good reasons to watch Duke of Hazard. 4 of them were Daisy Duke, and the 5th was the car.
it was a car.
There you go. Well, we got 14 people watching with us. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. You know, tonight. Thank you for everybody that's been here. Unless you have questions or comments out there for us before we close, you know, I'd love to hear what you think. Appreciate y'all's time tonight. Gray, I appreciate getting to talk with you a bit tonight and getting to learn
Yeah,
a
this has
little bit
been
more about
awesome.
you.
Sorry,
Talk through these.
I can't stay longer. It's coming up to lunchtime here, so That's why I've got to bounce. But yeah, this has been great. It's been great chatting. We could have kept going and going.
Oh, geez. Yeah, stunt show with Lee Majors. I forgot what that was. Hardcastle McCormick.
The Fall Guy, come on.
Yeah, that's another one with David Hasselhoff in it. Wasn't Hasselhoff in that? Or I thought one of them was, I know it was David Keith and, yeah, one of them. But yes, original Battlestar. We just got started. Hey, I don't know. Go catch me over at Ramblin' Canucks Karaoke. Mrs., if you can do me a favor, can you put Canucks Karaoke in over there in the link in the channel? That's where I'll be.
If you want, you keep going. If you want me to drop out, that's no problem at all.
Oh no. I'm due to go sing over Ramblin' Canucks Karaoke too.
Okay, nice one.
So yeah, it's. But here, talk about yourself a little bit. Let's see, Mrs. has got your link here and here. This is where you can find Gray on YouTube.
I appreciate that. Heart to Heart, yeah, Wes Kager, yeah, I see that. And thanks, Mrs. Tadman, I appreciate you dropping the links. Not much to say, really. If you like comic books, American comic books, I do reviews of those. I also do occasional movie reviews, and I'm not doing live streams at the moment, taking a bit of a break from live streaming. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to appear on Friends live streams, so you might see me here and there. But yeah, it'd be great to see you in the chat in the future. And thanks for watching.
Absolutely. So Heather Thomas was cute for a human. Yeah. You so you're 14 hours ahead of us, so our midnight would be what, your 2 in the afternoon?
How does it work? Oh my god. I'm kind of lost. Something like that. I don't know. I can't work it out. It's coming up to noon here, so it'll be noon in 15 minutes. So
it's coming up on 10, so it's 14 hours. So
gotcha. Yeah.
So then we're 14 ahead of our midnight would be your 2 p.m. So hey, if I'm ever going live at 11 or 12 my time, hey, you're up and want to see we're live, come on. We'll bring you on. We'll go squirrel chasing.
That'd be awesome.
Well, Masters, we got to stop now because I got to go do some. Ramblin' Canuck is back on the air, on the internet, and he's doing karaoke tonight. So let's go get our karaoke fix, folks. Tell Canuck you're going over there, rating him to when we're done. Hope to see y'all there in just a few minutes. I'll be over there. But of course, our great guest night, Gray from Wakizashi's Teahouse. Thank you for talking for so long, and great to get to meet you more. And folks, let me also, with 13 y'all here too, and I touched on it a little bit earlier. This guy is fabulous. Check him out. Really one of the great guys around YouTube about positivity. The Mrs. has her show about positivity. He's always positive. And I tell you what he did. If you did not hear earlier, on our New Year's Eve stream, when it was approaching midnight over there in Japan, he and his family actually counted down the New Year and celebrated the actual New Year turning in Japan with us live on stream. And that was an honor, sir. It was so cool to see you and your family did that with us.
That was so much fun. Again. Yeah, they were counting down, weren't they, in Japanese in the background? So
yes,
yeah, that was we had a Japanese New Year.
It was so cool, so cool. So on that note, folks, we'll see you over at karaoke. The link is there. Gray, again, thank you so much. And any last words? Well,
I appreciate it. No, thanks for having me on. And yeah, let's go raid the karaoke stream. It's a raid is coming.
Yeah, tell him it's a Dad Man raid and he's coming. All right. And Gray, thanks again. And we will catch you all later. Bye all.